Okay, we are going to put the cover on our text block that we put together the class period before Thanksgiving break. Just as a quick reminder, this is what we're using as our reference. We made this already, so if you are comfortable moving on, not bothering with the video, that's totally fine with me. You've got the instructions here. We have done this in class, but it's been a while, so let's do this together, right? We would be doing this in class anyway. Here's my text block. If you have not sewn it yet, there were a couple of you absent. Please get that done. The page sizes for all of this that we're doing are on Moodle. Make sure you're following the right Moodle, you know, the most recent one that says multiple signature binding, I think. This is different from the first size that we've done. This is a 4x6. So get your book sewn, bound, glue the spine, put your mull on, headband, footband, they're both called headbands. And then if you have extra mull hanging off once it's dried and you pressed it, you can trim that off. If it's nice and neat, these are my pieces. If they're really neat and just even, you can leave them on. That's okay. They can be glued right into your book. It would be like that, but I usually just trim them off. And it gives it a little smoother inside. Okay, text block. I've got my covers. I am not going to show you how to cover them. You know how. You've done this a million times. But, quick reminder, because this is a hard spine and we're making use of the inside of this, we're not going to wrap the inside, so we're only wrapping. Align your paper so that it's to the edge and it only hangs off on one side. You're only going to fold and wrap around the two outside edges. It doesn't really matter if your paper, which way you do it, if your paper doesn't have any orientation like mine. If you do have some kind of imagery that you want to line up, just be careful. Make sure that you're paying attention to what would be the outside of the book where it opens. And it's going to be the hinges that are not wrapped around. Okay, so this would be my hinges. This is my spine piece, 2 inches wide, same height as my covers, which is 4 1/4. And we're going to trim this down. We always start with 2 inches because it's easier to cut down from 2 inches than something that's narrower. It's really hard to control the ruler as it is on a small piece, but with this we have enough width for either a wide ruler to rest on or one of these narrower ones that comes with the kit. So let's talk about the spine. If you recall, the spine is the width of our text block plus both covers. So here I've got them both stacked. You can put them together in any order you want if it makes you feel more comfortable. Taking your measurement with the boards on the top and bottom as it would be for the book, that's totally fine. We're measuring this total thickness. Both boards, both covered boards, and the sewn text block. Just for the ease of showing you, I'm going to put my 2 boards on the bottom. It doesn't really matter. So you could do this. You could take your board and rest it, push these down, and you could, I don't know if you can see this. Let me try to change this. I've got a big mess here, guys, so I don't want you to see my horrible studio. So you could press this down really tight, make a measurement, only one, where you can see it. You can see it if you look really closely here. Or alternatively, you might get a little better measurements if you take your slide ruler or any ruler. Your slide ruler is nice because you set it flat, slide that little piece. Here it is. It's this little guy. It's hard to see. Sorry, you guys. But you know what I'm doing. I'm sliding this thing down, getting my measurement. Oh no. Okay. So there's that option, or you can just take a ruler if your measurements go all the way to the end, which I believe the ruler that comes in our little kit does, and you can press it down, line it. This is kind of what I'm doing, but I'm setting it all flat. I'm aligning it against the spine, and I make my measurement there. I check it and see what that is. So you've got to get the thickness of this. You figure out what works best for you. And ta-da! I've got it. I've cut it. Bam. Perfect, right? All right. So what I would have done is drawn very carefully. That's my measurement there. Use my ruler. If you notice, I'm using the lines on my mat to square this. There's my measurement here. And then I'll double check with my triangle, which is my square, that I have my ruler aligned. There we go. There's my mark. There it is. Okay. But I've already cut it. What I want you to do next is find the center point. So you need to measure this, divide it in half, make a measurement. Mine is 5/8, so it's going to be 5/16. And I'm just going to use this here. You can see 5/16. Make my measurement. Can you see it? Little dot. And then I would slide it down, do another mark here, and then connect them. I want to have a line that runs through the center. So make sure you're being very careful and that you're getting your line as straight as possible.
If you think it could be serious, ask me to call emergency services.
Sorry, guys.
Don't mention it.
Oh. Okay. All right, so I told you guys to cut a piece of book cloth and a scrap paper. It's a little easier to do all of your markings on the scrap paper than on the back of your book cloth. But if you want to, you can go right to the back of your cloth. It's totally up to you. I'm going to break this down for you guys. I'm sure you remember how we did this. This is a piece of scrap, the same size as my book cloth. I've just pre-marked this one to make it easy. What I want you to do is mark down 1/2 inch from the top edge. And if you use your mat, it's already all these little 1/2 inches. You don't even have to measure. If you line up your edges nice and square, get your ruler on these lines that are already pre-measured and pre-marked. Bam. How nice is that? Use the lines. Make things easier for you. So there it is, 1/2 inch from the top. Oh, please double check the orientation of your book cloth. It goes up and down. It is the same height if you turn it sideways as our boards, rather, not the book block, but the boards. And remember, it does have to wrap around. There's an extra inch added on so it can fold over. So make sure that you have your book cloth up and down. and as well as your scrap if you're going to go from scrap paper. Don't do this horizontally, you'll just have to redo it. Okay, so this one is my cloth. I'm going to do my marks on a piece of scrap paper. Next thing I'm going to do, fold it in half. Make sure those corners are matched up, guys. You want this to be as perfect as possible. So I've got it folded in half. I'm going to use my ruler to set it right up on these lines because it makes it so much easier. I mean, seriously, you guys, do as much, take the load off as much as you can by using the lines on these boards. All right, so there's my line for the center. Doggone it. Okay, I think I've got the dinging stopped. All right. So I've marked here. The reason why I put that line right on there, and you don't have to worry about the bottom. This is just to show you that the bottom will have a 1/2 inch left. So I've marked the top. I'm going to take my spine that I've already got this beautiful line exactly halfway, and I'm going to line it up so that my line on the spine piece is right there, perfect with these lines here. And then all I have to do is trace it. All right, the next thing I want you to do though is take those guys and double check with your ruler, your triangle, that they're straight, because it's easy to set it on there crooked. And so you're going to line your triangle up with the top edge of the paper. Make sure that it's, can you see that? Whoop. And just bring those lines all the way to the top. There's a reason why we're going all the way to the top. Oh, that's crooked. That's not good. I think I'll just do this. There we go. If you get wonky and crooked, this is why we use scrap. Here we go. Just take it all the way to the top. That's what I'll do. All right. Problem solved. Okay. That's getting a little flimsy. So this is where my spine would be, right? Again, still working on my scrap paper, but I could be working on my book cloth if I wanted to. So again, totally up to you guys. If you wanted to do that, just put a little pinch up here. You don't really want to crease your book cloth, so you only want to put a little pinch at the top and bottom. I'm going to show you exactly why we use scrap paper for this. And you'll see that it's going to make so much more sense. But here we go. There's my center line. But this guy is going to make it so much easier. Okay, so back to this. This is my spine. Now we have to measure out our hinge. Our hinge is 5/8 of an inch. So, we try not to go right to the end of our ruler to measure. So I'm just going to go here. I'm sorry, not 5/8, 5/16. What am I talking about? And I did make this line a little fat because I had to course correct, so I'm going to go to where I know it's correct here, which is on the inside. And here I've got, let's get this guy down closer. Here we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. And I want you to do it twice, okay, so that you can make sure you're getting a straight line. 2 points make a line. 3 points make a plane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/16, 5/16. Getting on there as neatly as I can. I want to double check with my triangle that my ruler is aligned with the edge of the page, and then I'm going to make a line that is square, because if I don't make it square to the edge, then things will go on crooked and my book cloth will look wonky and completely ridiculous. Not really, it's just going to look wonky. Okay, so this space in here is our hinge, all right? I'm just doing it. You don't have to do that. Okay, same thing over here. Bam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. I come down here, same thing. 5/16. Whoop. Oh. And again, use that triangle. Oops. Got a little crooked. Okay. There we go. All right. My covers. Here's how this is going to work. Again, this is my scrap paper, okay, guys? My covers would go here. My spine goes here. Looks good. Looks pretty even on both sides. I'll tighten this thing, you guys. Hang on. Okay. All right. You might hear some little like purring sounds in the background. And that's because I got this guy. There's Smokey. That's my baby. And he snores. And he oversees the operation, and he's often very judgmental. Okay, so I'm going to take a picture of this also, and I will post it, but you can just pause right now if you'd like to. This is the neat version of this, what I just did. Remember, there's 5/16 in between. This would be my back cover, my front cover, and my spine piece would be glued on here. And then these would be how it's folded down. The measurements would give you a 1/2 inch on top and bottom. Okay? All right, so let's get back to this little beauty. And again, we use a piece of scrap paper because we can scribble all over it. I'm going to take this. Here's my cloth with some eraser shavings on it. And check this out. Now that I've got this all done, all laid out, oh, it's slightly wider. Whoops. I'm going to line it up to my center, and I'm going to mark here, here. Okay, little tiny marks. You see that? Those little tiny guys. It's not focused, but I think you know what that means. And then I'm going to slide it down. I'm not going to flip it. Do not flip it. Just slide it down somewhere close to the bottom. And make sure that you're straight. Don't put it on like this. Don't get crooked on it. And you can probably even see through your scrap paper where the bottom edge of your book cloth is and just line that up to that 1/2 inch mark. That's what I did there. I'm going to do the same thing. Dot, 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 dot. Bam. Check that out. You can hardly see it, but they're there. Now, all I have to do, friends, is and double check with, use your triangle again. All I have to do is get this going. I feel like we need some ambient music with this, you know? If I had more time to prepare and the university told me that we were going to be doing this virtual stuff, which I've never done before, I'd prepare myself with some background sounds and spa music to go with this. Whoa, that kind of stuff. Okay, see, look how great that is. Super groovy. This is my cloth. All right, remember, double check. The cloth is up and down and not sideways. Okay, that's the wrong way. This is the right way. Put your lines on the right way. Now we're just going to glue this stuff. Remember, the wrapped side of the board on the outside. Take a minute, lay it all out. As long as you're aligned to your top edge, you don't need the line for the bottom. If you feel more comfortable drawing that line down here, you can. That's cool too. And an easy way to do it is just take your board, set it on there, line it up nice and tight against that top line. Man, my hands look really old. That's because I'm old. And you just make your line there. And this is going to tell you right where to glue. Covers, spine. All right. Scrap paper. Oop. Get your stuff out of the way. I do prefer to use wet glue when I'm gluing any book cloth on. And I think that's a good habit to be in because book cloth can be a little fussy. I did pour this a minute ago, so I'm going to put some new stuff on. It might have a little skin on top. All right. Okay. Here's my glue. Look at that. It's so lovely. PVA. Okay. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to leave my line visible. It will help me align it. Get that glue on there all the way to the edge. You know, you're going to get a little dirty. Maybe get a piece of paper towel handy. I should have done that. Okay, get your book cloth to a clean spot. And move this scrap paper over here. Okay, I'm going to align this the best I can to my lines. Super neat. I did get some on the back, and that's okay. So I've got that center line. Don't forget, clean your bone folder. Compress it. We're using the edge of our bone folder. Get that on there. Okay, now I'm going to just fold this so I can use it again. This old stuff from my kids' school. All right. always turn the page on your scrap paper, your glue paper. Always use a clean spot. Okay, it's okay to go outside of your lines. One thing that can happen is that this stuff can get a little fuzzy when you drag your brush across it. So I do like to take my finger and just kind of tap it along the edge so the little fibers don't come out. And then you do have to get moving on this. I'm dawdling. Moving this to a clean spot. Get my board. Bone fold it. That looks nice. I like that. Okay. I gotta use this. Do the same thing over here. Get that glue on. And I'm gonna say it again, guys. Using glue stick with book cloth, it can be problematic, so please resist the urge. You don't want to put all this work into it to have it come apart on you. And it'll come apart in weird ways that are very difficult to repair. Again, as you can see I'm getting a little fuzzy right there. So I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to, some of it just came off. Kind of weird. But you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a little, I'm just going to gently do this with my finger. Get those pieces of fuzz. Just go in the same direction though. Those pieces of fuzz to lay down. Okay. All right, clean sheet of paper. We don't want to set this down where we've got glue schmutz. Okay. Put that roller on there. And remember, inside, this is the outside, and we're paper down. This is the guts of the book. Lining it up very neatly to my lines. I don't know if you guys can see that. Put this baby. Bone fold. Okay. Now, as you may recall, we gotta fold these guys up and over. And maybe give them a little crease ahead of time. That can help it. Be careful on your glue on the edge here and here, not too much, but make sure it's covered. Also make sure that you're getting, I'm tapping it against the side, the vertical side of the board here. I'm trying to be sparing on getting the glue just on the tip of my brush. I don't want it squishing out over here. So I'm gonna, I have no problem slapping it around a little bit in here. Get some in here. But I have to be careful as I get to the edge here. I want to have a nice even layer, enough to make it stick, but I do want to try not to have any squishing out. Tap, 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 tap. Okay. I'm going to take my bone folder, fold it up. See how I did that? Like a hinge. And I'm going to rub it along the side there to compress it. Now I'm pulling it over, and I'm really like gripping it tight so that the bone folder can kind of grip the cloth. I did get a little extra there. Wipe that off. All right, and I want to compress here, compress it here. Again, go along. Really important that this gets down. This is nice and flat, flat. And then you're going to try to get in here a little bit. Push it down. All right, and you'll do the same thing here. I'm going to put a new piece of paper down. That's why those newspapers were so nice. You just turn the page. And same thing, tap, tap, tap the vertical edge. Now my dog is kind of squeak snoring. He likes to sleep. All right, well, that might be a little much. Get this in here. I got a little too much, so I'm going to kind of push it off the edge onto my scrap paper. I'm going to slide it down to where I know it's nice and clean. Same thing. Get that edge. Pull it towards you. That's smushed in. Now, you want to make sure your bone folder is clean and doesn't have dried glue on it. And the reason why is because it will come off and kind of flake onto your book cloth. I do have some right there squishing out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just tearing off a corner of this. I'm just going to kind of do that. Throw that away. All right. There's my cover. This is a good time to give this a once over one more time. And make sure that you're in there. Okay. All right. Bam. That's beautiful. Oh no, I think I cut my board too wide. That's not bad. I did cut my spine a little wide. I think I grabbed the wrong piece when I cut it. That's okay. So, next thing, as you guys know, we need to put our text block on here so that we're looking at it, making sure that we have about 1/8 of an inch on the top, outside, and bottom. Put your cover up. And then before you glue anything, you're going to slide it back in against the spine as far as you can. Neatly, and so it's nice and straight. I'm sorry this is so wobbly, and I hope I'm not making anyone seasick. And then what we will do, now that it's in place, some eraser stuff on there, you're going to lift the top cover. Do not move it. Put your piece, this is another piece, we need 2 more pieces of scrap paper. Scrap paper in between. Open up the end sheet, that's what we're doing. We're not going under both end sheets, or we just need to go into the crease here. Put it in here, going to glue this whole thing. And then we're going to close it on top. And then we'll bone fold it. So here's my glue. I gotta go fast. I'm gonna squirt a little on here. If you squirt some right on there, make sure that you're not squirting too much. And then a tiny bit of water, and dab your water off so that your brush isn't soaking wet. So you kind of have to get this moving. You don't want it to dry on you. If you, oh, I moved it. Whoops. Try not to move your text block like I'm doing. Inside out. Remember that? We always brush from the inside out. And you can go off the edge. It won't go underneath. But if you go back and forth, it will go underneath. Make sure that you're being diligent in this area here, especially. You have to move fast. You have a kind of thick, bushy glue brush like this. Those work really well for the larger surface. If you use a glue stick, move quickly enough that you are not going to allow it to dry on itself. Get the scrap paper out of here. I've got to readjust. If it slides around, just readjust it. And you could even put a new piece of scrap once you get it set up. It's drying on me. Okay, I just did that to make sure my piece was laying flat. And kind of a peek at it. A little crooked. And so I flipped it over to see how I'm doing, and I got it a little crooked because I did shift it. So I want you guys to be really careful there when you're doing that. Try not to move it in the first place if you can, like I did. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing here. Glue, 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 glue. You'll put your scrap paper in between first. Glue, 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 glue. Remember, we put our cover down. We press it against the spine. It's really important that your text block is against the spine. And then what you'll do, after it's all glued in, you want to open it, and you're going to run your bone folder. There we go. Here it is. Whole thing's really good. Get in there, really good. Same thing with the other one, which I didn't do, but for the sake of time, you guys don't need to watch me glue this. We're going to glue that, bone fold it really well, and then after you're in place, remember, don't forget, we're going to run our bone folder in the hinge, okay? So you're going to get the long edge and just get it down into that hinge. And I know you can't see in the video. You might be able to see a little bit of a shadow there. But you're just going to go into that, and that will help give it its shape. Another thing that gives it nice shape, if you happen to have bamboo skewers, you know, for like shish kebabs or whatever. When you press it in your book press, you can stick a couple of these guys in there. Okay. Now, lastly, after you've got it glued, remember we have to put it in our book press. This is blotting paper. You can use blotting paper, scrap paper, but use a few sheets. We're putting them inside the cover, lift the cover in between our end sheets, and then you want to put clean scrap paper on the top and bottom. Slide this baby in your book press, leave the spine out, press the block first, leave the spine hanging out like we did before, and then if you have these things, you can afterwards stick the whole thing with these in there under your press, and you press it like this, and that'll give it a nice a nice little groove, but you can also form that groove using your bone folder, so you don't have to have these. But if you have these guys at home, in the kitchen or whatever, go ahead and use them. They're real handy for it. You don't have to go buy them. You can make that nice little crease in there just with your bone folder alone. So that's it. Refer to this. If you have any additional questions, you may also reach out to me. This is posted on Moodle in the general section where all of those handouts are found. And then also, you do have a hard copy of it. So there's that. I hope this was helpful. I've never done a YouTube tutorial before, so I do apologize again for one, shaking the camera all around, and two, for the snoring dog in the background. But it was kind of like the ambient noise that we probably needed anyway, so I don't think that's so horrible. Okay, get those done. And there's Smokey again. Aw, look at that sweet baby. I had to buy him a beanbag chair. Okay, thank you.